Hi, this is Kim from K&I Journeys, and I am here for part 2 of our Vietnam and Thailand trip. Here we are, part 2, and our first port of call is Halong Bay. We're in port for 2 days, and we decided the first day that we're gonna just book and do our own excursion, while on the second day we began using the private journeys that Celebrity Cruise offers, and I'll get into that in a little bit, what it is. We did talk with other passengers, and some of them were getting off and traveling to Hanoi because that is a big destination that everybody wants to go to. However, it is a 3-hour drive. You could take a short flight, but the scheduling didn't work out for us, and we had already had something else booked for day 2 at Halong Bay, so we just decided that we weren't going to do that. Where the other passengers, they do have the options. They could actually stay overnight in Hanoi because the ship was docked from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. the following day. So moving on, Rob and I had booked this incredible adventure, taking a seaplane from out of Halong Bay. And I will tell you, it was amazing. We got off the ship. I was so excited. I'm going to first mention, too, that I actually woke up really early because that's just what I do. And I stepped out onto the balcony. We're pulling into port, and I see this amazing, gorgeous sunrise over the bay. And along with that were these stunning views of the limestone islands. It was just magical. So with that, we were so eager to get off the ship, and we just walked down to the end of the dock, and we picked up a taxi, and it was a 20-minute ride to the aviation center for our Seaplane Tour that we were taking. We had previously booked this prior to the trip. So with that, I will say you have to keep in mind that they want you to arrive 30 minutes earlier or before the flight. And also you have to make sure you bring your passport. Another little fun fact is the plane's small, and with that there's a weight limit. So they do weigh you. So don't be shy. But those who might be a little too heavy, they're gonna make you pay for 2 seats, believe it or not. So moving forward, we boarded the plane, and I will tell you, taking off was so thrilling. The aerial views that we saw of the green plushed mountains and the emerald color sea, it was just spectacular. We saw the oyster farms below and these amazing floating villages. And believe it or not, people actually live on these. It was just mesmerizing to see. So going from there, we asked our driver, which the taxi driver stayed with us throughout our journey, which was great because this, again, is something we did on our own and we weren't expecting that. But he took us, we asked, where can we go? What can we see? And he took us to this beautiful pearl jewelry store where as we walked in, you could see people actually opening up the oysters, and we just saw them pulling out these beautiful pearls, which of course led us to go into the store because I had to go and buy something, right? So I actually picked out these beautiful pearl earrings, which I wear all the time. I just absolutely love them, and it always reminds me of the great trip that we had. From there, the driver took us, we were starving, and so the driver took us to a beautiful outdoor local restaurant, and it was just so nice to just sit and take in the views, watching the people going about their daily lives there. The food was incredible, and thankfully the menus had pictures, because other than that, we didn't really know what we were going to order. We did notice that there was live seafood tanks, which we're not big seafood eaters, but in any event, it was fun to watch other customers picking out their fresh fish, and they were able to cook it right at their table with a hot plate. It was just so cool to see. And then from there, we headed on back to the dock. We picked up a Vietnamese strong iced coffee, which really woke us up for the rest of the day. And if you have never had Vietnamese coffee, I will say it is the best coffee that we have ever had. And I'll tell you, it really wakes you up. It's strong, but it's worth it. So we headed back to the ship and we got ourselves back on board. And the ship seemed a little bit quieter, and I believe the reason for that is because some people did choose to stay overnight in Hanoi. Or, I didn't mention earlier, but there is an overnight bay cruise that you could take as an excursion as well, and just get back to the ship the next day. So I think that's why it must have been a little quiet, which was great because it felt like you had the whole ship to yourself. And going with that, we stayed up because we were so wired on our Vietnamese coffee, and got to bed a little bit later, even though we did have to get up early for our next day in Halong Bay. So here we are, day 2, and we're gonna go ahead and get ready to do our excursion that we had already set up with the private journey tours. So we make our way off the ship, and as soon as we get off, we see our tour guide, because we knew it was our tour guide because she had our name right there, so we could go right to her. And we met Tui, and we jumped into a small little car just to take us down to the dock a little ways, which was taking us to a boat, because our excursion today is a boat tour, and it is going to also take us to a cave. So we get to the boat with Tui, and we're standing there and we're looking at this boat, and we're surprised that it was for us, but we were thinking, oh, other people are going to be joining us, and that's that. So we get onto this boat, and they call it a junk boat. I'm not quite sure what their definition of a junk boat, but I know when I hear junk, I think of junk, and I'm looking at this boat and I'm thinking, no, this is not a junk boat. And it was beautiful. It was 2 levels. It was just really a big boat. So Rob and I get on there, and we're waiting for other guests to arrive. And to our surprise, it was just the 2 of us. When they say a private journey tour, they really mean it's a private journey tour. So with that being said, we're ready to go. So as we're sailing through the bay, which was beautiful, we saw emerald shimmering lights. The limestone islands were amazing. They just towered over you. They were this plush green. It was just beautiful. And as we're weaving in and out of these limestone islands, Tui sat and told us all about the history of Vietnam. She had a lot of knowledge about the culture. It was just really great to listen to her. She explained everything about where we were going and what we were doing and what we were looking at. So that was really, really a great detailed tour with her, as well as we sailed through seeing floating villages. And we saw them from above when we were in the seaplane, but to see them up close was really amazing. and how people actually really are just going about their daily lives. Seeing the oyster farms up close, that's another thing that we really enjoyed. And then, from there, we made our way to the cave, which was Heavenly Cave. And it was such a great adventure to walk into there. It was a relief from the heat. It was so nice and cool. The lighting was beautiful. I've been in caves before, but this cave was just really beautiful. And if I remember correctly, Tui did explain to us that people actually host dinner parties or weddings in there. So it's really pretty cool. It's something really great to see if you ever get to go there. So after all of that, we boarded back onto the boat for a delicious lunch that was waiting for us with a bottle of wine. So our ride back to the dock was very relaxing and just taking in the views. It was just an incredible, incredible excursion. I'm going to give a huge thank you to Tui because she did a great job with touring us around. And I can't say anything more than that other than it was just spectacular. So now we're going to get our way back to the ship. And our next stop is in Da Nang. And we're going to continue from there. If you have any comments that you'd like to share with us, if you've been to Halong Bay, please feel free to do so. It would be great to hear from other viewers and their journey as they went through there. If not, if you have questions, we'll try to do our best to answer them. And other than that, I'm going to say, see you later. And if you like, please hit the button. And if you like it that much and want to subscribe, please do so. We'll see you on next tape. Thank you.